The Sciforror Film Podcast. Hello and welcome to the Sciforror Film Podcast. I am Andy Walker and I have with me my son Scott. Hello, Scott.
Hello there.
And how are you?
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
Far out and rocking, men. Yes, we are here to review films, as always. We are back to the usual 2 shorts and a long. And we've got 2 short horror films and a long science fiction film. The first film, let's start off with the first film because that's always the best way to go and everything.
Yeah.
The first film is from 2021 and it is called The Penny Man. This has been made by Cosmic Films. The writers are Dominic Grasso and Johnny Stapleton, and the director is Johnny Stapleton. Now, there doesn't seem to be much of a list of cast, really, for this. I couldn't find a list of cast for it.
No.
But the synopsis says, Penny, penny, give me 3, and your nightmares I shall take from thee. Penny, penny, give me 2, fail me and I will come for you. Yes, and that's basically what it's the rhyme that the mother and the daughter say. Before she's trying to get her daughters to go to bed, the mum and all that kind of thing, and they go through this thing of saying the rhyme, and then the mum stands outside and knocks on the door, and the daughter finds pennies in this bag full of stuff and posts through the door to her. I really like this film, actually. It feels a lot more complete than a lot of short films for some reason.
Yeah.
A lot more complete than a lot of short films of this type.
Yeah. I actually fully agree with you. I really like this film. I was a bit dubious about it because I've seen films like this before, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I really like this film. I
think the lighting was really good, and the feel of it was really good. The atmosphere, really well. And I mean, we've said it before, but it always amazes me how good some of the kids are in these films.
Yeah, the little girls acting this, even the sort of the older sister, I think we meant to be, their acting is amazing.
It is really good, and the effects are good as well. It works.
Yeah.
Works really well, this film. I really like it.
What I really liked about it is the fact that with a lot of films like this, it goes over the top with showing what the figure or the person or the demon or whatever is like. In this, you only really see his hand.
Yeah,
I thought it was very well done. I thought that added actually to it, the fact it's like a creepiness. That's all you can see.
Yeah,
and it's just, I think it's really well done, this film.
It is. It's a great film. It's really well made. It's well written. It's well acted. Well put together.
I love the sort of ending to it as well. It was sort of left open, but it explained it very well. Like it sort of, it's almost like it's left open, but it's closed enough as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say it's what I mean by it feeling a lot more complete. It doesn't. You don't necessarily need to see any more.
No.
Which is really good. I really like that. So that I think it's a really good film, really well made, and we'll have to watch out for Cosmic Films and see what else they've done and they do.
Yeah.
Okay, the second film is called The Rapunzel Doll. Now I don't know why, but I didn't write down a year for this, but I'm not sure what it was.
Well, it was uploaded onto YouTube at least in 2002. So 2022. Sorry.
Okay, so say 2022. Yeah, okay. Written and directed by Alexander Hetitan. Hetitan, maybe, I think that's how it's pronounced. The producer was Ubelica, no, Ubicola Brito. Yes, the cast was Jess Adams and John Allen. Now, the synopsis for this says, Annalise hired me to document her haunting experiences with a possessed Rapunzel doll. Yeah, it's a kind of found footage style film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure about this film.
I'm not a big fan of fan footage films,
No.
and I know this just.
See, the thing is, that gets me is it's like the main girl in this, that is Annalise, is so manic and intense. I wouldn't want to even be in the same postcode as her, alone in the same flat.
Yeah, it is one of the things I wrote down. She seems like a very good actor, but it's almost a bit too convincing. It is very very well done. If she's not like this normally, then
Yeah.
it's very good acting. If she is, then yeah, it is.
But I mean, if somebody came up to me and said, I want you to, I've got any experience, I think I've got a possessed doll, come and film it. And they were acting like she was when I went into the flat, I'd say, see you later.
Yeah, the way she was before he even walked in, I'd be like, no, sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
He'd be like, because he even says in it that he got paid first. So like, I'd be like,
Yeah,
no, sod that. I've got the money.
I certainly want to be alone in the flat with her.
Nah,
I mean, it's interesting. It's a bit more involved than some other kind of evil doll films and that sort of thing. But I don't know. I'm just not sure about it at all.
uh, it, uh, I
There's a
just see
whole,
the things I wrote down like a couple of points to it, and obviously the one about the acting and the rest of it. I was just, what on earth is going on? It just, I don't know. I sat there at the end of it, and I was just like, what the hell?
I couldn't make my mind up if the doll was actually possessed and became human, or if it was just somebody else in the house with her that was trying to, that was also as manic as she was, that was trying to have a go at him, and maybe the
Well,
doll would just happen to be something else that they were
well,
hiding.
this is the
I
thing:
don't
is the
know.
fact that on one of the scenes in the kitchen,
Yeah.
when Doll's on the floor and she's talking to him in the background, and I didn't notice it straight away. It was only afterwards when you see the other person that I didn't realise. But in the background, that person is standing in the doorway,
Okay.
and it's just like this is weird because I was looking at it, I was like, is that just a dress or is that someone standing there? And it's then the next, I saw the next clip where you can see this bigger move. I'm like, no, that's someone there the whole
Yeah.
time.
It
It's just,
is. It is weird.
yeah,
It's a weird film, but it's a bit confusing. I like weird films. I'm a very big fan of weird films. The weirder, the better. You know that.
yeah,
But um, yeah, I don't know. I'm just not sure about it for a lot of reasons. But it is. As I say, it's an interesting film, and it's more involved than others, and it's a bit different. But I really don't know. I can't say
yeah.
whether I like it or not as such.
I just don't know. Like I said, I just sat at the end of it and I was like, what on earth is going on?
Yeah, I don't know. I'd like to know what other people think of it because it's a
Yeah,
very odd, but interesting. We'll leave it at that, really. Odd but interesting. Okay, now on to our main film. Now, this is going to be fun. This is a film from 1977 called Starship Invasions. It's a science fiction film.
yeah.
Yes, directed by Ed Hunt, who also made, other than this, Point of No Return in 1976, Plague in 1979, UFOs Are Real in 1979, Bloody Birthday in 1981, Alien Warrior in 1985, The Brain in 1988, and Halloween Hell in 2014. Yeah. Now the cast. Go for the two main characters first. Okay. Robert Vaughn. Now, Robert Vaughn, most people will know from being in The Men from U.N.C.L.E. He was in Hustle in this country as well. And he was in The Magnificent Seven and things like that. But other than that, he did things that are more concerned with us than horror and sci-fi stuff. He did Teenage Caveman in 1958. He did some TV series stuff in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. He did The Mind of Mr. Soames in 1970, Demon Seed in 1977, The Lucifer Complex in 1978, Dr. Franken in 1980, Virus the End in 1980, Hangar 18 1980, Battle Beyond the Stars 1980, Fantasies in 1982, Superman 3 1983, Zombie 5 Killing Birds 1988, Chud 2 Bud the Chud in 1989, Transylvania Twist in 1989, Escape to Witch Mountain in 1995, Witch Academy in 1995, Joe's Apartment in 1996, Menno's Mind in 1997, The Sender in 1998, Visions 1998, and A Cry from Within in 2014. Okay, so there you go. The next main character, is Christopher Lee. So let's start with Christopher Lee. The Curse of Frankenstein, 1957. Horror of Dracula, 1958. Corridors of Blood, 1958. The Man Who Could Cheat Death in 1959. The Mummy, 1959. Uncle Was a Vampire, 1959. The Two Faces of Dr. Jekyll in 1960. City of the Dead, 1960. Hands of Orlac in 1960. Scream of Fear in 1961. The Devil's Agent in 1962. He also did TV series, mystery and horror TV series, the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, and the 2020s. And he also did video games in the 1990s, 2000s, 2010s. Back to the films. Challenge the Devil in 1963, Horror Castle 1963, The Whip and the Body 1963, Devil Ship Pirates 1964, Crypt of the Vampire 1964, Castle of the Living Dead 1964, The Gorgon 1964, Dr. Terror's House of Horrors 1965, The Skull 1965, Dracula Prince of Darkness 1965, I think that was, Rasputin the Mad Monk 1966. Dracula Prince of Darkness was 1966 as well, sorry. Psycho Circus, 1966. Night of the Big Heat, 1967. Theatre of Death, 1967. Torture Chamber of Dr. Sadista, 1967. The Devil Rides Out, 1968. Dracula is Risen from the Grave, 1968. The Crimson Cult, 1968. The Oblong Box, 1969. Scream and Scream Again, 1970. The Bloody Judge, 1970. Count Dracula, 1970. One More Time, 1970. Taste the Blood of Dracula, 1970. Scars of Dracula, 1970. The House That Dripped Blood, 1971. I Monster, 1971. Dracula AD 1972 was in 1972. Horror Express, 1972. Deathline, 1972. The Creeping Flesh, 1973. Nothing But the Night, 1973. Poor Devil, 1973. The Satanic Rites of Dracula, 1973. The Wicker Man, 1973. Dark Places, 1970. Oh, where are we? I've lost it now. 1975, I think it is. I can't read what it says. The Keeper, 1976. The Devil a Daughter, 1976. Dracula and Son, 1976. Meat Cleaver Massacre, 1977. End of the World, 1977. Return from Witch Mountain, 1978. 8. Captain America 2, Death Too Soon, 1979. Tales of the Haunted, 1981. House of the Long Shadows, 1983. Return of Captain Invincible, 1983. The Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, 1985. Gremlins 3, A New Batch. No, Gremlins 2, A New Batch. I'm sorry, 1991. Panga, 1991. Cyber Eden, 1992. Funny Man, 1994. Tale of the Mummy, 1998. Sleepy Hollow, 1999. Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring, 2001. Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, 2002. Lord of the Rings, Two Towers, 2002. Lord of the Rings, The Return of the King, 2003. Crimson Rivers 2, Angels of the Apocalypse, 2004. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, 2005. Corpse Bride, 2005. The Golden Compass, 2007. Star Wars The Clone Wars, 2008. Burke and Hare, 2010. The Resident, 2011. The Wicker Tree, 2011. Dark Shadows, 2012. The Hobbit: An Unexpected Journey, 2012. Extraordinary Tales, 2013. The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies, 2014. Oh, that's it.
Yeah.
Blimey, I didn't realise that was it. Got lost there for a minute. God, blimey, that was a lot. Then we have Daniel Pylon. He did some TV stuff in the 90s and 2000s. He did The Legend of Doom House in 1971, The Possession of Virginia in 1972, Plague 1979, Scanners 3, The Takeover 1991, Habitat 1997, Island of the Dead in 2000, and Left Behind the Movie 2000. Then I think this is pronounced T-U Leak. It's T-I-I-U. I don't know, T-U Leak. Did some TV stuff in the 70s and the 80s. Did The First Power in 1990 and Special Report Journey to Mars in 1996. Helen Shaver, some TV stuff in the 80s, 90s and 2000s. She was in the Amityville Horror in 1979. Tremors 2, Aftershocks in 1996. The Craft in 1996 and The Risen in 2003. Henry Raymer did some TV stuff in the 60s and the 80s. He did Change of Mind 1969, Virus, The End 1980, and Screamers in 1995. We have Victoria Johnson and Doreen Lipson and Sherry Ross, who all did nothing else. And Kate Parr, who did some TV stuff that was like horror and that sort of thing in the 80s. Going through. Linda Renhofer did Frankenstein on Campus in 1970, which sounds like a great film. Richard Fitzpatrick did some TV stuff in the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and 2010s. He did Trilogy of Terror 2, 1996. Oh no, start again. He did The World Beyond in 1978, Millennium 1989, Expect No Mercy 1995, Trilogy of Terror 1996, Left Behind 3, World at War 2005, Bottom Feeder 2007, Bitten 2008, and Survival of the Dead in 2009. We've got Ted Turner, who did nothing, and Sean McCann, who was in The Uncanny in 1977. God, that's a bit of stuff, isn't it?
So glad we haven't done a film. We didn't do a film with Vincent Price and Christopher Lee in the same one.
Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, and Peter Cushing, wouldn't you reckon? But the synopsis for this film says, an advanced team from a dying, far-off civilization seeks a new world to conquer and inhabit. Earth. Now, I don't know about you, but I have got to say right from the outset that this film is awful.
I'm so glad you said that.
It is a dreadful. I mean, 1977 was the same year that Star Wars came out, but even if you don't compare it to Star Wars, there were sci-fi films that came out in the 60s and early 70s that were much better in effect, with effects and much better stories.
Well, just I don't know. Just I watched this film and I got about halfway through. I was like, this is just awful.
It is a completely awful film.
It feels like it goes on forever as well.
Yeah, and oh, and even Christopher Lee couldn't save this film. Even
No,
somebody as good as Christopher Lee could not save this film from being awful.
I think the way that his character sort of dies as well in it, it just says a lot about this film.
But the effects
Oh,
are just dreadful. As I say, I mean, there were films in this from the 60s that had better effects than this film. And were probably
there's
made on
films from
less
the
money.
50s. There's films from the 50s that got better costumes than this. I
It's,
just
uh, it was just confusing as well. So much of it is just so confusing.
there's so much of it that doesn't need to be in it.
Oh God, yeah, yeah. And Robert Vaughan's character. I can see why they put Robert Vaughn in the film because it's like he's a name and all that kind of thing. But his character, to be honest, I think his character could have been played by an armchair. It would have been as good.
Yeah, I just
It just there's nothing about that character at all. It has no presence or anything.
no. I just I don't know. I'm saying it's just I feel really bad because I like Christopher Lee as an actor, but
I love
I don't.
Christopher Lee. And
He, I actually think this is sort of a black mark on his career a bit. Really, it's
oh,
awful.
it's like the acting in general, without thinking about Christopher Lee and Robert Vaughn, the acting in general is, I would say, it's pretty poor at best. The
Yeah,
story isn't original, and so much of it just seems pointless. So
and
much of what goes on in the film just seems pointless.
yeah, and
I, I,
I don't know. There's certain bits in it as well that just seem like they drag on forever. Like the amount of time it takes them to walk anywhere or go anywhere, just they don't need to film it all.
yeah,
I just
it's
I
got
don't
to be. I would say it's possibly now. I mean, there are a couple of Christopher Lee films that I don't particularly like,
know. Okay,
but this is possibly the worst Christopher Lee film I've ever seen,
yeah,
and it's one of the worst Robert Vaughn films I've ever seen.
yeah. See, I don't think I've watched that many of his, but Christopher Lee definitely just
It's awful.
yeah, he's I don't know. I just see, it shows how bad it was because I was sitting there watching it, and I watched all three of them upstairs with Amy, and she asked me how what the first and second one were like. I really got like was really interested in them, and the third one she hasn't said a word about. I just, I don't know. I feel like
It,
I've wasted an hour and a half.
yeah, it is. It is. I mean, I know it's only our opinions and all that kind of thing, but my advice to anybody with this film, I mean, normally we'd say give it a watch and see what you think. My advice is give it a miss.
Yeah,
Just don't bother.
I just, I've got nothing
And,
good to say about it.
well, the only good thing I can think of to say about this film is that um, most of the cast did better films both before and after this.
Yeah,
So watch any of them instead.
it's,
I mean, uh,
I definitely
it,
think this is one of the films where, like we said before, is the fact that they get contracted to do a certain amount, and I think this is the sort of you've done all the good ones. Now you've got to do a really bad one.
but the thing about it is, I mean, I don't know when in 1977 this was made, but if somebody said to you that a science fiction film had been made in 1977 with Christopher Lee in it, you'd think, oh, wow, that sounds really good. Because immediately you start thinking Star Wars and start thinking about what
Yeah,
that looked like.
well, it's the thing is
And
this, like you
I
said, it's
mean,
the fact that Christopher Lee carries a lot, especially in sci-fi films.
yeah.
But just it doesn't save this film at all.
And I mean, the effects of the spaceships, They do just look like hubcaps on bits of string.
The bit that made me chuckle the most was when they were coming in and out of the water.
Yeah.
It blatantly
It's
looked like
like,
someone just threw it into the water. It's just,
but it's also things like, in order to stop things, they don't shoot things out of the sky in space or shoot things, they just crash into them. And it's like, what?
I will say, the funniest bit of this film I actually loved was the fact that when the family are driving down the road,
Yeah.
the boy and the dad go, "Oh my god, there's a UFO," and the mum or whatever turns around and goes, "Oh my god, we're the only car on this road." Like, what? You're looking up and getting freaked out by a UFO, and you're more interested about the fact that no one else is on this road.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's an unusual thing.
But it's just,
But yeah, no, it's I honestly thought when I saw that this was a science fiction film with Christopher Lee in it, and I thought, well, this is interesting because this was the same time that Star Wars was on, and he came into the Star Wars thing a lot later. And it would be really interesting. Maybe this is why he didn't do. It wasn't in the original Star Wars because there was this other thing going on,
yeah,
and because he would have been great as Darth Vader. I mean, he had the presence and then the voice. He would have had to
yeah.
be able to do the whole thing. And I thought, oh, maybe that's why he couldn't. But then I watched this and thought, oh my God, I hope he did not turn down Star Wars for this.
I feel really bad for him and the other actors in this. Really,
Well,
it's
especially
just
when you, as I say,
awful.
when you see some of the other things that even some of the smaller actors did after this,
Yeah,
you kind of think, well, what the hell? You know, why were
it's
they in this?
yeah,
Why was it made? It's just, it is
it's
an
awful.
absolutely awful film.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I don't understand why it was made or how it was actually made. It's just
Well, I suppose a lot of it is when if you were to go into a film company and you would say, "Look, I've got this science fiction film. It's about a dying race from another planet who want to come here and take over the Earth. It's got Christopher Lee and Robert Vaughn in it." A lot of
yeah,
filmmakers would go, "Oh, that sounds good." The companies would go, "Oh, that sounds that sounds quite a good
yeah.
idea. Here's some money. Go and make the film."
It's just, I've got nothing good to say about this film.
No, it really is awful. It's possibly one of the worst films we've seen,
Yeah,
and it's
I'd quite
it's
happily put it up there as one of the worst films I've seen.
and it's not even a film that's so bad it's good.
No,
It's just awful.
yeah, I don't know.
No, I mean, and there's even the fact that for most of the film you don't even actually see Christopher Lee saying anything because it's all
Telepathic. Yeah,
telepathic. You just hear his voice, and they look so odd in those outfits as well. It's just like,
yeah.
no, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know.
No, I'm stumped.
Well,
Not many times I'm left speechless, but this is just
so, I mean, if you want to go and watch this film, people out there, if you want to go and watch this film, please feel free to do so. I will put the link up. But to be honest, my advice is don't bother. Just give it a miss and just, you know,
yeah.
it's just, you know, somebody says about watching this film, say, shall we not? And say we did. So there you go. Pennyman, it's a good short film, really well made, really good. Rapunzel Doll, weird, a little bit confusing and a bit odd. Not sure about it.
Yeah.
Um, Starship Invasions is a big no. it's it's time you will never ever get back.
I have watched this, and I sat there and thought to myself, I'm going to be doing so many other pointless things.
Yeah, there are so many other good films I could be watching instead.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. Thank you very much, Scott, for your input and
All right.
stuff.
Thank you for letting me be part of it.
That's all right. Always happy to have you along. We will be doing the same things again next week, but with different films. Because if we did the same films all the time, that'd be really pointless. Plus, I don't think I could manage to sit through another watching of Starship Invasions.
No.
But next week we have one sci-fi and one horror short and a horror long. Ooh, indeed. So there you go. Thank you very much to everybody who has joined us and has spent any time at all listening to our babble, baboo. I tell you what, instead of watching Starship Invasions, go and watch The Wrong Cops. that will sort your head out. Right. Thank you very much to everybody, and we will see you again next week. Thank you, and goodbye.
Goodbye.
The Sciforror Film Podcast.